Nuts of the Dirty Table.
Dirty Table Nights. Awesome entertainment for your delight. We are the Dirty Table Nights. Live on Twitch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Heroes playing games, talking pop culture news. We got what you need, we'll be here for you. Crossover will tell us if we're wrong or right. Hang out with the gang every weekend night.
Nights. We're the ultimate team.
Nights. Come on and check out the stream.
Nights. We'll be chasing our dreams.
Believe it. Nights.
I'm just here for the memes.
Nights. 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 We are the Nights.
What is going on, everyone? I am your host with the most, Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Ranger, Merrick Henry. With me, as always, off to the camera is...
Oh, me? I thought you were talking about Trevor. Hi, I'm here too. Let's go to the house. What's up? I'm Marty.
And special
Rudely
guest...
sitting in front of Trevor right there. There he is. Whoop.
He does exist. And with me today, special guest star, Trevor Norrington. What's going on, big man?
You know, living the dream. Super happy to be here. I appreciate the invite.
We're thrilled to have you, man.
Thank you for coming
Frax couldn't deal with our dancing down below. He fainted from excitement.
Oh dear.
Oh, poor
He
guy.
is there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Get a glass of water.
He's a robot. He'll destroy himself, so he can't, unfortunately. But it's the thought that counts. So, thank you so much for joining us today, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
We're gonna have Trevor on again in just a little bit. We're gonna be talking all kinds of other Power Rangers topics. We've had a lot going on the last couple days. As you may have known, we decided not to do a stream as part of Power Rangers Week yesterday to stand with Jacob Blake and his family and what's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I personally think it was the right thing to do. I would have been the only one on camera yesterday. And good Lord, Barney, where did your facial hair go?
I shaved my beard.
That's disgusting.
It really is. It's also not true, but I am a banana.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I got the SnapCam filters on there. Sorry for the inappropriate use at that time. This serious time. It is a serious issue that we are dealing with repeatedly here in the United States, and something needs to change.
Yes, I do think it is good to be able to break up that drama and that tension every so often, to have an escape from the realities of the world. And just that we are here with Jacob and his family. Black lives do matter, and we will not stop until we bring the necessary changes to the systemic racism that exists in our society.
Yep.
I'll briefly just mention again, based on the post that I had made yesterday on all of our social media platforms, feel free to take the call to action and contact the Kenosha District Attorney, contact the Kenosha Mayor, and contact any other important powers that be in the Kenosha community in Wisconsin. Make sure you contact them, make sure that you demand change, and make sure that we
Also
continue to strive.
register to vote and vote.
Yes.
Please.
Please.
Your
Yes.
vote does matter, contrary to some people's beliefs. It is very important, and that is another strong way for us to bring change.
And not just the presidential election. Especially in this case, it's possibly more effective to get change to vote in your local elections. It's very,
September 1st.
very
Yep,
important.
it's important to have proper local representation, being the voices that matter in the Senate, in the House. And to be fair, as far as your presidential election goes, you're not just voting for a presidential candidate, you're also voting for Supreme Court justices that make life-altering decisions for many in this country. So there's a lot to vote for, so make sure that you're registered, make sure you get out and vote. Plain and simple. So Trevor, I'm going to have you step off to the side just for a little bit. We'll have you back on in just a moment. So thrilled to have you, bro.
It's a BRB on that one. Thank you, Trevor.
King Swag over here. Look at all the stuff that we have today on the table. We have so many toys. This is the biggest amount that we've ever had on the dirty table. It's the dirtiest it's ever been. We've got villains, we've got comic books, we've got movie props, we've got a shrine to Tommy Oliver. We have so much here. And a Cyclobot joined Frax down on the floor. That's okay. It's fine. We got one left over by Tommy's helmet, and
Minimal casualties. Still.
minimal casualties. Hey, it could have been a lot worse, folks. Let me tell you. Yeah. All right. So why don't we
Look at that collection.
start the show?
Oh boy.
and let's get some topics that I've been dying to talk about since the start of the show last year when we started this show. Actually, no, before I forget, if you happen to have, we have a special treat for Crossover Lord, the master of the crossover.
Working on it.
And I know that Barney's bringing up right now as we speak. It is National Power Rangers Day today. We didn't make it up. It is an actual thing. Today, August 28th, 1993, is the day that Power Rangers premiered in America and basically effectively changed my life. And Hasbro, the current toy and production owner of Power Rangers, they put out a special Fan Friday thing, and we now have this as an upcoming crossover toy, My Little Pink Power Ranger pony.
Mwah.
Gross. So, Crossover Lord, I hope you appreciate said crossover.
It's nicely done. I gotta say
I mean, Hasbro has all these IPs. You might as well use them. I can respect that. It's just,
that needs to be on the table.
it's eye-popping, to say the least.
You gonna add it to your collection?
If it comes in green, yes. That's probably the only reason I would
It might just be a pink
bite at the chance.
special
It
edition.
makes sense. I will not go
Yeah.
out of my way to get it. If it's pink, if they release green, we'll come back and we'll talk about that. Thank you, Barney, for displaying that
got
crossover.
it.
That was for you. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. So I've been wanting to talk about this topic since the show originally started over a year ago. Some movie adaptations do not stand the test of time, and they can be ridiculed to no end. Examples are The Last Airbender, Super Mario Brothers, Howard the Duck, just to name a few. These adaptations of beloved characters and franchises can often go horribly wrong, and it begs the question of what the hell happened to these movies. Often there's struggles between cast and directors and writers that lead to incredibly disappointing films based on these large properties. There's reason why they don't hold up over time. The Power Rangers 2017 movie is far different. It was in fact really good, but no one gave it a chance. Let's talk some criticisms moviegoers had with the film that I personally disagree with. Let's start with this. It deviates from the source material. Well, the Power Rangers franchise as a whole deviates from its source material. They take footage from Japan and then create new American characters to fit around that. They've created new villains.
Deviate from the deviated.
Absolutely. They've created new villains and even new Rangers exclusive to the American show. I mean, if you like changes done on the show, why don't you like it in your movie? And I would argue that for DC and Marvel films as well, but that's a topic for another time. Another criticism, it's too grounded. So you want it to be like the original show? The teenagers with attitude from the 90s where they made time to volunteer and coach kids and clean up the local park every single week. They were good students that participated in all clubs after school, and they practically had no attitude towards anyone ever. This was the first time we actually got that attitude.
Yawn.
They were real teenagers figuring all this stuff out on their own while dealing with friends and parents who didn't understand them. You know, like actual real teenagers. It's too dark. It was clear from the jump that Rita was someone that you didn't want to mess with. A dope threat to Earth with a real army of big putties that could crush anything, and Goldar is actually a real powerhouse here. There's a real sense of urgency from the jump that these heroes need to become heroes quickly or they lose everything. So it wasn't dark, it was reality. The reality is they're going to lose everything they know and love. They don't get their suits until the end. Well, if you pay attention to the movie, you can see there's a clear focus on character development rather than just strictly action, and you see why we should root for these heroes. Every Ranger does, in fact, get a good amount of time to establish who they are. You even see enough of Zordon, Alpha, and Rita to know who they are. Rita is more developed than Malekith from Thor 2, so as far as I'm concerned, that's a win. Yes, it's billed as an action franchise, but the final half-hour battle lands strong because you know who these people are and discover what they discover at the exact same time. It might not be as appealing to kids necessarily, but for the adults who grew up with this franchise, they should be impressed with how much detail they could fit in for all of these characters. I do think they could have used maybe more moments to introduce the suits to move along the plot instead of just saving it all for the end and maybe having that be the payoff for the heroes. I do still respect the writing choice that they did to earn their powers rather than have them handed to them like they usually do in the original series across almost all of their seasons.
If I can weigh in on that real
Please,
quick.
please do.
I do think, I borderline kind of agree. Thank you, Mr. Valentine777 for the follow. And the chat is going off. We'll address it.
We'll
you guys,
address it, absolutely.
afterwards. But yeah, just to address that point, I do agree. That was kind of saved till a little late for the suits and the Zords. But I think you have to take into account the fact that they were expecting and hoping for a sequel, and now I am too. So that with that taken into account, I think it was really well paced. But we do need a sequel.
Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Taking all of these criticisms into account, I think if you actually watch the movie, you'd enjoy it and know that it actually does a really good job of honoring the original source material, the American original source material, and adding something new to build off of for the future. But critics didn't have a clue of what the franchise was, and that pushed general moviegoers away, thus resulting in its disappointing box office return and scrapping any sequel plans that it might have had with Lionsgate. They actually did have good points to move off of for future films. The Zeo Crystal is introduced in this movie, and that can generate a total new set of powers for our heroes in the future, like in 1995's Power Rangers Zeo. Rita ends up in space and could be discovered by Lord Zed, who could be really menacing for our heroes in this continuity. I mean, if Rita was dark and gross, imagine what they could have done with Lord Zed in this franchise. And of course, they set up Tommy at the very end. I highly respect why they didn't use Tommy in this movie, but imagine the stories involving an evil ranger and the really badass Dragon Zord. Come on, man.
There's the little teaser too.
With a sexy jacket in the detention room too. I want that jacket. I want that made for me. But I mean, if nothing else, even if you didn't use Zed for the next movie, Tommy could have been the main movie for the sequel, and I would have applauded it, of course. Lionsgate did say that they had plans for at least 6 movies in the franchise, and based on this first film, I saw them having at least 2 more sequels worth of good ideas based on the show, so I think it could have worked. It is a shame that the movie never got the real credit that it deserves. For the diehard fans, like myself, Trevor, and I think we're slowly morphing Barney into this franchise a bit.
Yep.
We all know how good this movie actually is and how well it used its original material. A good origin story, their job is to establish why you should like a hero. There isn't all that much action if you look back in Iron Man 1. Wonder Woman doesn't count because you were already excited for her after Batman vs. Superman, and a team origin story like the Avengers worked because you already had the luxury of spending 10 hours with these characters prior to this movie. This movie doesn't have the luxury of pre-established heroes and brand, but they do as good a job as any other good first installment in a superhero film franchise. Y'all just didn't give him a chance to prove it, because the sequel probably would have been better, and there would have been more suits and battles, so your loss.
And we already had the characters established that we'd gotten to know and love.
They are rebooting the film franchise as of right now. Hey, Sneak Attack Jack.
Thanks for the follow.
Much love. As of the future plans for the film franchise, since Hasbro has taken control of the franchise, they have struck a deal with Paramount to produce a new film. It is supposed to take within the continuity of the current franchise on the TV show. Apparently, there could be 7 different Rangers on one team. The leader could be a girl, and it could involve time travel where they travel back to the 90s. That is all that I know thus far. I don't know anything as far as characters or plot or whatever, but they very well could just make their own original set of Rangers rather than base it on one of the other Japanese Super Sentai franchise.
I love the idea of a gender reversal, I gotta say. Is that something that they've done before?
A couple of
Or are they
times.
mostly strictly yellow and pink are female, red, blue, and black are...
It depends.
male?
It's all based on the source material. The original Mighty Morphin show had 2 girls and 3 guys, but its Sentai that it was based on actually had 4 guys and 1 girl. Hence why Trini doesn't wear a skirt in Mighty Morphin, because it's based on the Japanese stuff.
And why she's so buff in that Super Nintendo game.
Oh man, that was a product of the 90s, to say the least. But it all depends on the source. There was even talk that if Tommy if they got a sequel going for the 2017 movie and they had Tommy brought in, there was talks that Tommy could have been Tommy, Tomi, and it could have been a girl, which I think would have been very cool,
That would have
very
been so
interesting, and it would have been dope. But unfortunately, we will not get that. But I will stand by that this was in fact a really good film. I genuinely shed a tear when the Zords popped up in the movie and they started playing the 1995 movie theme song. I know that I was the only kid in the row of friends that I was with that felt this way, and I don't care, because that's a moment that I will always be able to cherish. This film gave that to me as an old enough fan. So much love to the team behind that. Moving on, let's talk some villains. Haven't really been able to dive in too much. I mean, I talked a little bit about Rancic before.
Here's a villain for you.
Oh my god.
Did you see this, Trevor?
I forgot we had this loaded and ready to go.
One of them posted it in our group chat, and it was a riot.
It's
Perfect.
it's too perfect.
It's too perfect. Wow. Oh, what a great start.
It's just such a clean edit.
What a great start to this. So just to clarify, this is not a ranked list of my villains per se. These are just some of the favorites that have stuck out to me over the years. They're not necessarily just big bads. They can range from anybody. So I mentioned Rancic the other day from Time Force being my favorite season of all time, and just how awesome he is. He's one of the few villains that the Rangers, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Time Force, he's one of the few villains that the Rangers never actually defeated in battle. He surrendered. I won't explain why he did it necessarily, but Rancic is just the strongest of the strong, and you saw from the clips the other day that he can pull bones out of his body and make them swords. His body is a living weapon. Dope. Enough about him.
Pretty scary. Sounds like a One Piece villain, which makes
Ultimate
sense.
crossover. So one of my other villains that I'd like to mention is Lothor from Power Rangers Ninja Storm, the 2003 season. I think he's a rather funny and charming character. It's established early on in the season how powerful he is, but I like the touch that you forget as the season goes on how powerful he is, until the very end when he comes in and he destroys the Power Rangers base, and then he's taken on the Power Rangers at the very end. It makes his impact feel much more stronger during the final battle, where you don't think, oh yeah, he's been this strong the whole time. No, he's just kind of been holding back until the very end, which I think is a really rather cool touch, especially for such a comical character. The following year, Power Rangers Dino Thunder, Mesogog is one of my personal favorite villains. He's menacing, and he's very intimidating for the Power Rangers franchise. His plan to conquer the world was a little creepy, if I'm being honest. He wanted to make everyone reptiles and dinosaurs, and he wanted to rule over them. But you still did not want to get captured by this guy. He would mess you up because he was still a brilliant scientist. Plus, his good fighting style, like his really strong fighting style, was established when he actually fought Lothor in the team-up between the Dino Thunder and the Ninja Storm teams. So it established not just that he was a mad scientist ready to take over the world, but also he was a strong, powerful fighter that you did not want to mess with. And I really respect that. Another one that sticks out to me from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, the year 2000 team, is Diabolico. Now, for those that know the franchise, some may find him bland, but personally, I found him to be dark and noble. He was very no-nonsense, but he had some character depth when his second-in-command and friend Loki, don't know why they didn't call him Loki in this show, I'll never understand that, Loki.
It's spelled the same way.
Spelled the same way. I had to write in my notes the underline underneath so I said it correctly, because I would have messed myself up. His second-in-command, Loki, is destroyed by Queen Banshira, who is in fact one of the most ruthless villains in the entire franchise. His plans may have been thwarted by the Rangers repeatedly to impress the Queen, but he never seemed incompetent or immature as a result. I respect that even if he was mostly evil just for the sake of being pure evil, he still helped the Rangers take down the rest of the Demon Army and Queen Banshira at the end to meet his own personal goals. And I kind of like that. So he had reasons. He was always having his own agenda in a way, and I really respect that, even though he still wanted to be noble to the Demon Army. You can't talk favorite villains without mentioning the Psycho Rangers. Can't talk about it without them. Gotta have Evil Rangers on this list. They're powerful and they're iconic for the show and the brand. It's kind of interesting that the show didn't play around with this concept more. They did it with 6 Rangers, but not an entire devoted evil set of Rangers. I mean, these guys were so popular that they were always in demand to be made into toys, and we only just got the complete team of 5 last month after 20 years. I'm not kidding. This is the first time we've gotten all of them in a box set. We never had Psycho Yellow and Psycho Pink. We only got Psycho Red, Black, and Blue just last year as part of Bandai's toy line before everything changed over. So now we have a complete team, and it's great. Lastly, for this mentioning list, I like to mention Blaze and Roxy from the current iteration of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Hasbro's first season that they've had control over. The jury is mostly still out on this season, just because I'm not sure exactly how their characters come in at the very end. I haven't finished the story. I know ultimately what happens, but it's really cool to see that these characters... It's nice to see when these characters will be able to interact with each other as the season progresses. So I can't exactly completely dive into them just yet, but I will say that it feels fresh when you get one decent human villain for the show, let alone 2 good ones like these ones. They bring a nice youth to the enemy faction of the show that you don't often get to see in the franchise. They're interesting because they have good person and evil person counterparts, so I think that's fun to play with as an actor. I personally would have liked to seen the actors play both sides of that coin instead of just strictly playing with bad guys and just going off of that. But it is still nice to see Hasbro is investing time not just in their heroes and their development, but they're also trying to establish their villains, especially their human actors, and hopefully they can continue that into future seasons going forward as they continue to handle the franchise.
You want to see the Screen Rant top 5 villains?
Oh boy.
Omni.
What? He was in 3 episodes. We didn't even know he existed until the final 5, so that's garbage.
I think it's just a power ranking.
Oh yeah, because that's worthwhile.
The Master.
Didn't see his face until the last 3 episodes. He's a giant octopus.
Daishi.
Daishi is fair. That is a fair.
He looks cool.
Actually, I was gonna say he was one of my favorite designs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His costume is great. He's technically considered a ranger in the Japanese footage. He's not considered one here, but he is technically a ranger in Japan, which I think is pretty interesting.
Jungle Fury might not be too high on anyone's list of favorite Power Ranger seasons, I guess. That's what they said. Master Org.
Wait till you see my list, folks. We're getting to that next. Master Org, yes. Deadly, don't want to mess with him. Super scary. Absolutely.
He looks creepy.
Established from the get-go.
He's got that third eye. Hi, Tom. Venjix is their number 1.
Yeah, I totally see that. I totally see the Venjix. It's a computer virus. That season takes place in an alternate Earth where the Venjix virus has taken over planet Earth, and basically there's like a little ragtag group of Rangers left to save the planet.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Venjix definitely, since he's kind of the one that came the closest to world domination.
He doesn't look unlike the bad guy from Reboot too, which is interesting. If he is a virus, there might be some design crossover there.
Yeah. So speaking of lists and things, why don't we do a quick ranked season list of all the seasons from the history of the show? I wasn't exactly going to do this because I wanted to take a little more time to go in depth, but I had someone in a private message reach out and say, are you going to do a ranked list of everything? And I originally wasn't going to do it, but I figured it's Power Ranger Week. It's National Power Rangers Day. How could I not do it for our first main event at Knights of the Dirty Table? I got to go out with a bang. So let's start with this. At the very bottom... Oh, and before I forget, some of the seasons, the stories have kind of like spread out across like 2 years because that's how Nickelodeon wanted to produce their seasons of Power Rangers. I'm joining those together. So any season that has a super counterpart to it that's spread across 40 episodes, I'm combining that as one complete story because I think that's the most fair rather than judging 2 sets of 20 episodes each because I don't think that's right. So at the very bottom, I have Power Rangers Ninja Steel / Super Ninja Steel. The only good thing that we had going for this season really was the 25th anniversary team up, which was only 1 episode, but I still thought it was good, all things considered. It got Tommy back for the episode, and it got a whole bunch of other veteran Rangers from various eras and seasons of the show. So there was like, I think 12 Rangers that fought in the team up, maybe like 15. I'm not quite sure. I don't exactly remember the number. I think it was good, all things considered, but every other aspect of the story with this, it felt pandering to kids. They were really going to drill in the lesson of the day through everything, and just the stakes never really felt high. The status quo was reset multiple times, and I never felt really attached to the Rangers. It was bland, and I would rather it have been just bad, but it wasn't even bad. It was just bland and boring. After that, I have Power Rangers Megaforce and Super Megaforce, second to last. Now, we did talk about this the other day, where Super Megaforce was just bad on so many levels, so many fronts. It threw away its 20th anniversary and kind of just crapped on it, so it was very disappointing, especially based on the footage that Super Megaforce is based on, Gokaiger. And we talked about that. Feel free to go back and check one of our earlier streams on that. But yeah, it definitely disappointed in its 20th anniversary. There were a couple of highlights where returning actors came back and actually did good, strong characterizations of their characters from less than 10 years prior. So there are some highlights, but not nearly as much. I won't go more into detail on that. Feel free to check out the previous stream from Super Megaforce. After that, I have Power Rangers Samurai / Super Samurai. You notice there's a trend that most of the Nickelodeon seasons are on the bottom of this list. Samurai Super Samurai, it was heavily based on its Super Sentai counterpart, where it's basically just a samurai story. So a lot of the stuff didn't quite translate as well in the language. They almost like, from what I learned from the production stuff behind the scenes, the showrunner for Power Rangers at the time, he would take the scripts from the Japanese stuff and word for word translate everything into the American stuff, so that's why some of the lines just feel really clunky. While it is a complete story as opposed to the previous two sets of seasons that I mentioned, it's not great. The characterizations aren't strong. There's way too much focus on a Red Ranger, and I'm sorry, the actor doesn't quite deliver. Actually, the season or the story gets more interesting when the Red Ranger switches over to a female Red Ranger, because she's actually a bit more of a stronger actor, and I kind of wish that she had been the franchise Red Ranger for those seasons. And that you just go off of what you got from the Japanese stuff, but I don't have Samurai and Super Samurai ranked highly in that regard. After that, this is going to be a bit of a controversial take for any diehard fans. After this season, I have close to the bottom Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. Obviously, it's super nostalgic. It started all of this for everyone, and obviously we have to give credit to that. But overall, it's all very episodic, singular stories, and almost all the teens all the time are doing something community-oriented. It's almost as if the world's not going to end. We're going to clean up the park. Oh, there's some putties. Pow. Take out the monster. Pow. Form the Megazord. Slash the monster. End of the day. I think the only story that had stakes in the entire... Two stories that had stakes in the entire season is obviously the Green with Evil arc, as I mentioned, one of my favorite sets of episodes in the history of the show. And then near the end, when Goldar is actually piloting his own Zord to take out the Rangers, that's where the stakes are really high, because it does feel like the world's actually going to end. But that's it. Everything else is just pretty self-contained. After this, also closer to the bottom, I actually have the following season, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. While there are some stronger arcs, as far as the White Ranger arc, the return of the Green Ranger arc was pretty cool. I do think there were some moments, such as the Zed and Rita wedding in Season 2, that felt very off. Rita was basically done away with at the start of Season 2, and when she came back, it was as if the Rangers didn't exactly care. Now, to be fair, while the reason why they shot the wedding was, one, because they were trying to make Zed more kid-friendly for the show, and two, while they were filming all the episodes for the Rita and Zed wedding, they were filming on location in Australia for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie in 1995. So all of these production factors get factored into the writing, so I do have to take it into account, but it still proved to just be very weak, and there really wasn't that much else interesting stuff going on in the season. After that, I have Power Rangers Zeo. And what's interesting about this season is at the end of Power Rangers Season 3, the base gets destroyed and they lose their powers, which happens typically in every show, but this is one of the few times where it crossed over into the following season. And once the Rangers got new powers based on the Zeo Crystal and, you know, all these, if you can't tell by sidebar, I'm wearing my Zeo Morpher today because I'm wearing a Tommy stuff. they got their powers, and then they went back to more episodic stuff. But what was really weird about the start of the Zeo season was that it was way more comical than it ever had been on Mighty Morphin, oddly enough. The plots, what the actors were doing, it was very strange. However, the second half of the season got interesting, as I mentioned in the previous stream, with the Gold Ranger arc leading up to Jason's reveal and then to the end of the season, where they actually took more elements of the overall Power Rangers universe and started playing around with it more. That also includes the team up with the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, the Aquitar Rangers. So the second half is good, but the first half really just drags it down. After that, I have a little higher up than the other Nickelodeon seasons. I have Power Rangers Dino Charge and Super Dino Charge. And I think this was the strongest output of actors that we got from the Nickelodeon seasons. I mean, it's no surprise that, you know, we continually like seeing them at cons. They were asked to come back for the recent Power Rangers Beast Morphers team up that involved all the previous dino-themed teams, which is a really cool concept based on the Japanese footage. While the villains are a little weak overall, I give a huge credit to the cast for just portraying their characters in a much stronger fashion than some other Power Rangers seasons. And it does, in fact, tell a complete story at the end. What has it at the bottom for me, or more towards the bottom for me compared to other seasons, is the end of the season. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. They basically rewrite time so that dinosaurs now live on Earth with humans. And at the time of the show, everyone thought, does this ruin every set of continuity standards that we had for Power Rangers? Like, without the dinosaurs, there's no Mighty Morphin team. There's no Dino Thunder team. There's everything kind of goes away. It wasn't until like a few months afterwards, not even a few months afterwards, like I think a whole year afterwards, that it was established that this season takes place on a separate Earth. But for a whole year, everyone was just scratching their heads of what's happened to Power Rangers? What happened? After Dino Charge and Supercharge, I have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3 / Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. That was like a 10-episode mini arc, so I don't want to count it as its own separate thing, so I'm just merging it all together. Season 3 had way more multi-part episodes, like Part 2, Part 3 stuff, so I give it a lot more credit for like really trying to raise stakes in certain sections of the show. And, of course, the finale at the end where they lose their powers and the base gets blown up, I think adds for some high tension for the franchise. And I also am giving credit to what the Alien Rangers and their arc did for the show, was basically creating a whole story that was told from beginning to end over the sake of the 10 episodes, which I thought was really good, all things considered. It's the 90s, so it's still very light, but I consider it higher up than the first 2 seasons of Power Rangers because they did at least try to raise the stakes a little more. After that, I have Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. When the season first came out, I was also one of the kids that felt like, yeah, this is kind of the worst season we've ever had of Power Rangers. It was the 15th anniversary, and it just felt weaker in comparison. But now as I watch it as an adult, the idea of having Power Rangers on like a Indiana Jones kind of thing where they travel around the world and they find artifacts, it's amazing what they were able to do on the incredibly low budget that they had, because obviously the show's notorious for a low budget. The second half did more interesting things than the first by, spoiler alert, making the Red Ranger a cyborg and having that difficult conversation with his dad of, wait, you built me, I have all these memories of being your son, but none of these memories are actually mine. I'm only 2 years old, not 18. That does a lot to someone's psyche, and they actually played it rather well on the show, shockingly enough. And I
can say that awkward conversation with everyone has to have with their father. Dad, am I a cyborg?
It was actually a really dramatic moment for the show that I thought played well, and I didn't notice that until I was older. So I give a lot of credit for the second half of the show, so that's why I have it higher. After that, I have Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. The first season coming back after Power Rangers' initial cancellation. They only had 4 months to shoot and put all this stuff together. The production budget was really high. There were a lot of things that they shot for the American stuff. I mean, they had a giant spaceship with rooms and revolving doors and all this stuff. There was some clunkiness midway through the middle of the season. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, they wanted to take into space, where the Japanese footage for that was based in the jungle. So obviously those two sets didn't quite match up, but they made it work, all things considered. And I give credit for their high production budget and value. And They also had a really cool team up with the In Space Rangers, and they fought the Psycho Rangers, and it was really dope. And I have to give credit to them actually writing off and killing a ranger. They killed off the Pink Ranger, but that was because the actress Valerie Vernon was diagnosed with leukemia. But eventually they brought her back at the end, and everyone was happy. But they killed a ranger for the first time, which was pretty dope. After that, I have Power Rangers Turbo. This is another case where the first season was really clunky. Any dramatic tension from the previous season was gone. The first half of the season, every episode revolved around finding a bomb, and it was one of the most mundane and annoying things I'd ever seen from a kid's show. After they actually fired the writers and the showrunners from that season, because they also were realizing that this is not good writing, they fired them, brought in new showrunners, and then they also changed over the cast as well. Tommy was a ranger at this point. Adam was a ranger. They all decided to leave the show, brought in a new cast, and oddly enough, the writing got a whole lot better. Way more dramatic tension, and as I mentioned the other day in my favorite episodes and such, it all led to their base getting destroyed, really for the first time, with no sense of hope, and it followed into the next season. So the second half was really strong, and I give them a lot of credit. After that, I have Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, the first season that I had ever watched that day that I discovered Power Rangers. While they don't quite do as strong with their 6th Ranger stuff, they really have a nice strong core of 5 Rangers that take on the Demon Army, and they established that the Demons were a group of villains that you did not want to mess with, and also high production value too, shooting in LA, so I have to give them a lot of credit for that. After Lightspeed Rescue, I have Power Rangers Mystic Force. Now, oddly enough for this list, I actually have a lot of my Disney seasons higher up on the list than various other ones, and some people maybe will disagree with me on that, but I actually think Disney did a good job with writing their shows compared to previous seasons. Mystic Force was cool because it was an adventure series, kind of if Lord of the Rings had magic in some way in terms of establishing its characters and setting up these magical worlds and such. I think they did a really good job with the writing for the show. Everything was actually really well paced for the first 31 episodes. It was just the 32nd and final episode of the season that actually felt rushed, and they tried to do a lot in 20 minutes, but the pacing otherwise feels really good. After Mystic Force, I do have Power Rangers Jungle Fury, which is considered to be in my top 10 as opposed to the the power list that we saw from the villain stuff. I'm actually doing a current rewatch of Jungle Fury now, and I love the main core Ranger team. I think they're all strong actors. They have strong characterizations. I love the mentor. I really like the villains. I think they're a stronger group of actors than other incarnations, and I think Daishi and his actor, all things considered, it's evil for the sake of evil, but there are moments of humanity involved in that character, and those moments are played real by said actor, so I respect that a lot. And I just love the concept of taking your regular old henchmen, your grunts, and being able to turn them into powerful monsters and generals of the day. I just thought that was a really cool concept as a kid. After Jungle Fury, I have Power Rangers SPD, where that show takes place in the not too distant future. It was supposed to take in 2025. It's 2020 now. We're nowhere near that future, with flying cars and every alien in the galaxy using Earth as a home base. So we're not anywhere close to that. But I thought SPD had a really well-paced story. I do give it a little bit of a detractor for having their 6th Ranger, the Omega Ranger, be in the costume for the entire season and never have a live-action actor because Disney was just trying to save money. So that, I think, was a little bit of a piss-poor decision. But the core group of 5 is one of the most well-regarded casts in the whole franchise, and I absolutely see why. They really played well with each other.
Maybe he was morphing when the wind changed.
I got stuck. They worked it into the plot, so it did work, but from the production standpoint, it was a cheap reason. Yeah, it was a cop-out. After that, I have Power Rangers Wild Force, which has 2 of the best team-ups in all of the franchise, Reinforcements from the Future, where they team up with the Time Force team, and also the 10th anniversary episode, Forever Red, where the previous 10 Red Rangers teamed up to take on the Machine Empire.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's probably the best episode in the whole overall franchise, and it was so epic as a kid. and it still holds up. They wanted to do a whole lot more, all things considered, but the fact that they were able to pack that much into 20 minutes and having almost every original actor come back, Jason, Tommy, Wes from Time Force, and just everyone, it was a really, really cool episode. But aside from that, while the cast wasn't quite as strong as maybe other seasons, Master Orc gets a huge boost for the show because he was someone you didn't want to mess with. Certainly Zenaku, another villain. Like, their villains were really strong in this season as opposed to the heroes, and that's kind of what sticks out for me as one of my favorite touches on the show. After that, I am in the I'm now in the top 5. In case anyone's been counting or keeping track. At number 5, I have Power Rangers RPM, the show that I mentioned before that's set in the future where the Venjix computer virus has taken over almost all of Earth, and now there's a little dome. That's where the rest of the humans are, where it's, room temperatured and everything. And it was the bleakest. It's also set in a separate continuity from the main seasons, but just the stakes were a lot more dire. And they actually had a cool thing at the end where you couldn't tell if the Venjix virus was alive or not. They left it very ominous. And yeah, it's a stronger season. It's a strong cast. What sucks about RPM is that when it was broadcasting, they only, as I mentioned the other day, they only broadcast it to certain regions of the country. So if you lived in New York or California or Florida, you could see it, but the rest of us couldn't see the show. It was flabbergasting because Disney was basically trying to set up the show for cancellation. Basically, yeah. So that's my reason for it. But you can watch the show and all of these seasons on Netflix now. Hashtag promotion. In my top 4.
They have all of them?
They have all of them.
Nice.
That's a big reason for why there's been a resurgence in the brand, because everyone's been able to watch it all.
Yeah,
that's had a huge factor in, and that was before Hasbro bought it. Coming in at number 4, I have Power Rangers Ninja Storm. I like how surprisingly comical it is and serious at the same time. Like, the jokes, when they actually land. It's actually funny. But then the battles and the stakes are high enough where you remember that it's still an action-based franchise. It's it really does a good job of adapting its source material, as well as adding in slightly newer American elements of humor and banter. And I really like that season. It held up a lot more as I watched it last year. It held up a lot more now than when it did as a kid, in my opinion. At number 3, I have Power Rangers Dino Thunder, where Tommy came back and was a mentor to the group of kids, as well as becoming a ranger in his own right. It's very well done. Some would consider this to be the best season, and there are plenty of arguments why. Strong villain, strong cast of rangers. Each individual episode does a really good job of its character development for everyone. And it's definitely a must-watch. Definitely one that I would recommend if you're trying to start with the franchise from ground zero. It has a good recap of kind of everything up to that point for Power Rangers, and it is very well executed. And I would definitely rewatch it again. In at number 2, some people have this at their number 1. I have Power Rangers in Space. This was the season that was the culmination of the previous 5 seasons prior to that, and this was essentially their end game. They were facing cancellation. They wanted to take every concept that they had previously established and try to implement in as much as possible. Stuff from Mighty Morphin, stuff from Zeo, stuff from Turbo, and make it so they culminated in a big battle where everyone, it was all the marbles were on the table. We lose here, it's over. And they did a really good job of establishing new characters for this specific season, giving them enough character development, and still honoring previous characters that came before. It's a very strong season. Its payoff is good when you've watched the previous seasons building up to that, because you can clearly see that they at least were able to make something worthwhile out of everything that came before. And yeah, it's a strong season. Definitely one of the best the show has to offer. And to no one's surprise, based on previous streams, I have Power Rangers Time Force at number 1. Awesome villain, awesome cast of Rangers, awesome writing, really good production budget for the show, shooting in LA, all things considered, considering that how notoriously cheap the show is. It's my favorite, and definitely the one that I would recommend the most to anyone. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on Time Force, feel free to check out that previous stream on YouTube. And I will briefly mention that while Beast Morphers, Hasbro's current season, is still premiering, I can't quite rank it in the listing just yet. I would definitely have it probably within my top 7, I would say, because it's done a really good job of also taking previous Power Ranger concepts from previous seasons, even some plot lines as old as 10 years, and adding it into this season. Like plot lines that never got resolved, they're adding it into this season to give that kind of resolution. And I think that's really, really cool. So I'll come back at some point and do another ranked list, but Beast Morphers is higher. Believe it or not, with Beast Morphers, they've actually shot more American footage than used Japanese footage, which is a first for the show. I almost can't tell what is the Japanese footage at this point because they've just been using so much American material, which is a credit to Hasbro. So, yeah, that's my ranked list. On that note, do you have something you want to show, Barney?
Just an awesome Forever Red.
That's one of the variant cover arts from one of the comic books.
So cool looking.
And it does include every Red Ranger, not just leaders necessarily, but like 6 Rangers or additional Rangers that happen to have the color red. There's even a couple of Super Sentai characters in there. There is the Psycho Ranger up there, some Evil Rangers up there, and there are also alternate versions of the Red Ranger.
This is nice too. The red is forever.
Oh yeah, someone put together a YouTube. So there is a YouTuber on YouTube who loves Power Rangers material, so he often finds his friends and they have the costumes lying around and they just kind of do their own thing with it. So there's definitely a strong fun community.
That's a fan
That's fan.
cosplay?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Down below, the image that's down below, that is from the Forever Red team up with the original
on the
actors
left,
and then
yeah,
the suit actors from 2002.
This is cute too. I don't know who made this.
Ah. It's very 2000s PC game.
Looks like something Crossover would make, actually.
They're all so cute. Oh, except the Psycho. I want to say the Psycho.
I mean, the Psycho, even the Psycho is cute in this instance.
On that note, let's get in our special guest, Trevor Norrington, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't you come on over,
Patiently
my
in the
friend? You've been
wings,
waiting long
Trevor.
enough. Thank you so much for your patience. We just wanted to get in all the content from Thursday's show that we weren't able to do. But we're thrilled to have you here now. So, before I talk about the specific topics that I wanted us to get to, did you have any thoughts on either the 2017 movie, if you've seen it,
Oh, I have many.
favorite villains, or specific seasons that stick out to you? You have the
Absolutely.
floor, please.
All right. So first and foremost, the 2017 Power Rangers was a phenomenal movie and a great step forward for the series. Like I don't understand how people couldn't like it, especially as a kid that grew up into an adult still loving Power Rangers. Being able to see them in a more mature light, being able to see them in a realistic light, like not doing all the slapstick humor and all that
Didn't
stuff.
you take a group of
Right.
kids to go see it?
I did.
Right,
I did.
yeah?
And they enjoyed it.
Good.
I took some teenage kids when I was working at a residential facility. I took them, and they enjoyed the movie. So I mean, I respect people's opinions, and I will let them.
But
not
also,
like
they're
it,
wrong.
Specifically, one thing I want to point out with that movie, I really, really loved the way they portrayed the Blue Ranger.
Yes.
Billy
Absolutely.
in that movie. I love the fact that they included, because like I said, I took some kids. I worked at a residential facility, and so some of them live with autism. Like they're diagnosed with autism, and so for them to see
I'm diagnosed with autism. I loved seeing that on screen.
right, and so seeing autism portrayed so well, and seeing him as a Power Ranger, and seeing him actually kind of lead the team at one point.
Yeah,
I
it definitely wasn't a negative
really love
association.
that, and I personally I love diversity and representation. That's the first time we've seen something like that, you know.
As well as Trini in that movie being the first. I believe they made it bisexual rather than full out lesbian. But either way, that was the first time we got a bisexual and an autistic superhero on screen. They were the first two to do that. So
Yeah. And so
definitely watch
I love the movie. Though my one gripe, I do have
Of course,
one gripe
of
with
course.
the movie.
How dare you?
The costume design for the Rangers. I love the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I love that they had their animals on the helmets. And so it just made them more, they stood out more, and they were different. I felt like a lot of the costumes, the colors were very mellow and muddled, so if they were moving fast on the screen, sometimes you couldn't really tell if
Yeah,
that was
I-
the Blue Ranger or the Black Ranger that just ran by, you know?
They all had blue glows. Which
Yeah,
is something
yeah.
that
Yeah, like
I
they're-
thought was a
they're
little,
lined
up.
a little strange.
I
It sort of
think-
made the colors a little more ambiguous because then everyone is a little bit blue, as well as
Exactly.
whatever color they are. Which I thought it looked cool, but I didn't think it was a good way of differentiating the Ranger.
No, I can respect that. I think also something that contributes to that is the fact that we really couldn't get comfortable with the suits on screen. Obviously, they had a promo photo with the suits when it dropped, and I know there were comments that it related to Iron Man in some various ways, but we didn't really get comfortable with the suits on camera ever. They only had the helmets for like maybe 2 total minutes of screen time, and then once they're in the Megazord, they're just showing their faces the entire time. So we never really got to establish these characters into our psyche as okay, this is who they are. So I do think that was a flaw with the film as well. I was indifferent with the suits. I thought they were fine, all things considered. I thought there were enough touches to make it look like the Mighty Morphin team, but still giving it an Americanized flair.
Crossover is with Trevor. He said the designs in the movie are more like Iron Man.
I can respect that.
yeah, I
Did
can
you have
respect
any
that.
thoughts on Rita? I didn't touch on Rita,
Rita,
so I was curious if you had any.
Elizabeth
I
Banks.
actually enjoyed the fact that she had the Green Ranger powers.
Oh my God,
I,
yes.
I love that they made her an actual villain and not just kind of a figurehead in the show. So I really enjoyed that.
She had a stake in the team.
Yeah, exactly.
get-go,
And
too.
she had that killer instinct, man. She was actually scary in that movie. And I,
Yup.
for a second, thought Billy was a goner. Spoilers. Sorry if you haven't seen it.
Imagine what
but
they
it's
would have done with
2020.
Lord Zed.
Exactly. And so speaking of the sequel, I'm still gonna hold out hope.
Me too.
Just because especially with that last line, Tommy. Man.
Maybe for fan stuff, but as far as what I've read, they've officially said we're rebooting this franchise. That's what especially since Hasbro
they are
has
making another movie, but it's not going to be the same franchise. It's not
Correct.
gonna be the
I'll
same.
take
Saban
that.
had control of the franchise previously. They've since sold it to Hasbro. Hasbro has now creative control over it, and they've decided to reboot going forward. The only thing that I would have liked from the 2017 universe was more Green Ranger stuff if we had gotten a sequel. So now this is the only thing we have of a Green Ranger from that universe. Rita in her opening movie attire. So unfortunately, if you want a Green Ranger from the film, this is the only official product that you can get, a Green Ranger Rita Funko Pop. And I'll put that right
Battle
next to it.
damaged.
Battle damage.
It comes with Zordon in his Red Ranger Battle Damage too. If you're
Oh, that's
looking,
pretty
if you're
cool.
looking for the specific toy, you can either find her, you can find the double pack. Not sure how much it is, but that is the only Green Ranger toy we got from the universe. So
Yeah. So I had a friend who asked me, do you guys think, I'll also pose this question to you guys, open the floor up. Do you guys think our current society is ready for a female Green Ranger? Or a female Six Ranger?
yeah. If I may start off, Barney,
No.
boo.
Straight up. No.
I think the only way to start the conversation is to showcase that there's a conversation to be had by essentially casting someone. I think that's really the only way you can kind of bring the change. I'm certainly ready
So ready.
for that.
So ready.
We technically have had female Six Rangers, but when we've had those, technically female Six Rangers, they've been a part of the same team where they had a guy Six Ranger. So like, how much does it really count, Now that's mostly based on the Japanese footage as far as the TV show goes, but if they had done a sequel where Tommy, T-O-M-M-Y, was Tommy, T-O-M-I, I would have been completely here for it. And quite frankly, they might not have exactly played up the Tommy-Jason relationship, but they could have played up the Tommy-Kimberly relationship and given it a totally different context. Yeah. Or maybe they could have Tommy be attracted to the Yellow Ranger and really dive into the Trini's sexuality in that franchise. So whole bunch of options for that. I definitely was ready for it. It would have been very exciting, and it would have mixed things up. Barney, do you have any thoughts?
No. I mean,
Good talk.
I'm ready. I'm ready for that for sure. It's just a shame, really. I think there was a lot of things they got right that I would love to have seen a continuation of.
Definitely more right than wrong.
Crossover says though, Merrick is right. It's now a stillborn franchise. If there was a sequel, it probably would have suffered the same effect as the Ninja Turtles movie, where it's trying to fix the original.
The problem with that is it did fix it, and it did more for its source material, and it had less Megan Fox, and it was way better. But that's a topic for another day.
Turtles Week.
Can you imagine a live action new Power Rangers with the new Ninja Turtles crossover?
Oh,
I'm just saying, I'm gonna put that in your head now.
Crossover. Who has control of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise? I don't think it's Hasbro, but I'd be curious to find out. I don't think they do. I mean, they have crossed over in the show, so it's not completely unprecedented. But Saban had control of that show's rights to cross over with the show at the time. So
Nickelodeon.
Oh, straight up Nickelodeon. All right.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, they could. There could be an easy partnership worked out so long as Hasbro's under Nickelodeon. But I stand by this. I think Hasbro's gonna jump for Netflix. I really do. So,
All right.
do you have any
It's
thoughts?
the place to be.
Definitely. Do you have any thoughts on specific villains that might have stuck out to you over the
Okay,
years?
so you mentioned them already. It's not a big villain, but they were bad guys, the Psycho Rangers.
Definitely.
Man, that was so cool. That was my little brain just exploded when that happened. That was also one of my favorite seasons. So
It lands so well.
It,
The impact
it just
of it.
did so well. I know you mentioned earlier that they didn't mess with it too much, but later on in Jungle Fury, they did have the Rangers who were the masters or whatever.
Yes,
that
no.
came
Thank
back.
you for reminding me. Yes.
And they were
Also American concepts too, which I didn't think we would get. I saw
Right.
that they released a shark, elephant, and a bat ranger as toys, and I kind of just thought, all right, they're extra rangers. But the fact that we got them was really cool. Look at these psychos, man.
Just the design is so
oh,
sleek. I loved
there
it.
it is.
Loved it.
Yeah, look at that.
It's menacing.
They look, super menacing is the word. Yeah.
And they landed so well with no build-up too, mind you, but you could just tell from the jump that you don't want to mess with these guys. Now, I will point out, some people have always been curious what the N stands for on their belt buckles. Like, they're called Psycho Rangers. Why is there an N on their belt? That's because they're actually called the Neji Rangers in the Japanese source material.
There it is.
So that's just copying over the stuff. I just thought I would mention.
No, that is a very cool
Hyuga Neji?
detail to add. I never knew that. So
That was, it
Something
does.
new I
It
found
doesn't
out.
it make a little more
Yeah, it
sense?
makes
You work
sense.
with what you get. But
Yep.
it still landed pretty strong. And they actually did have a comic book centered around them that came out last year that features them getting human forms.
all right, now I have to read all the.
I
comments.
will just
have to read all of them.
it's too.
You know what?
too
This
good to read.
is interesting. This to me is obviously they're meant to be evil, and that's the heavy use of black. But this to me is a better sort of modern design for the costumes, than the movie. I think they got a bit more of that modern edgy style.
I'm very curious to see what they do come up with designs for a new Ranger team that's not based on any incarnation of the show prior. So that'll be very interesting. I will just briefly mention, as far as villains go, that my favorite monster of the day will always be down here in orange, Merrick the Barbaric,
I wonder why.
whose brother is in fact Eric the Barbaric, who's got
Merrick
like
and
blue
Eric?
fur and such. Yeah,
There
right.
he is.
Right here. Imagine me finding him for $2 at the flea market. Like, you have a Merrick the Barbaric? Sold? I would spend 10.
You've never used that one.
I was saving it for this week. I've had this week planned for the last year. I thought of it last August, and I was ready. I've been waiting a whole year. There's a reason why I've dropped it in various streams that we've done. I've been waiting a whole year to do this. So,
Crossover says, speaking of weird symbols, wasn't there something with animal symbols on the chests of the Rangers that were never in the show?
with which season, I guess, would be the next question. My first one that I think of is Wild Force, where they had animal symbols on their chest, where there was something specific with that. Dino Thunder, it's Japanese footage. Their morphers actually had personalities and they talked. Like, they had moving mouths, but they actually had their own personality too.
Huh.
It was a Japanese
That's
thing. It was really
interesting.
weird.
That's pretty cool.
And last but not least, are there any favorite seasons that stick out to you for
All right,
things?
so I already said Lost in Space was one of my favorites. I'll give you guys a top 5 just because.
Yeah, do it up, man.
So coming in at number 5, I will have to say SPD.
Good pick.
SPD. I loved the concept when they got their SWAT suits, I thought that was sick.
Such badass
Oh my
suits.
goodness, it was sick. Their Six Ranger. Well, they had many additional Rangers.
Omega
that
is
season.
their official Six Ranger.
Yeah, Omega's their official.
Kruger is technically an extra Ranger. That's the designation.
Kruger is a sick design. I loved him. He had that beautiful sword at his hip all the time. The 00 on his chest, like
it's a badass look. Barney's
It was
actually
awesome.
seen that look on my screensaver a few times.
and he kind of had like the SWAT team vest.
Is this the SWAT team?
That's the
Yeah,
SWAT
so
team.
that's the SWAT outfits. But
Badass.
Kruger kind of had that vest on from the beginning.
Yep.
And so that's why I loved his design. He
And
was
these
These
awesome.
Rangers are packing.
Barney doesn't know Kruger, the Shadow Ranger that we're talking about. He's actually a talking dog, Barney. He's actually like they made it actually anthropomorphic, like physical costume where he moved his mouth, and that was actually where a good percent of the budget went was to his costume. So they took this giant dog and his ears, and they put him into a little helmet, and they smushed his mouth into helmet. I just so you understand, like this dog was like someone you didn't want to mess with.
Yep. He was awesome. So that is number 5. Coming in at number 4, I am going to say Lost in Space. Lost in Space is going to be my number 4.
Wait,
One of my favorites.
Time out. Are you saying Lost Galaxy or In Space?
I mean, in space, Jesus. Lost Galaxy is coming next, I promise.
Fusion Hot.
Lost Galaxy is coming next, I promise. Coming in hot, number 3, Ninja Storm.
Good pick.
Ninja Storm.
Good
Ninja
pick.
Storm was sick. I love the costume. I am just in love with that aesthetic. I watch way too much anime and I read way too much manga. But having the
no such thing.
having the ninja costumes along later on with the addition of the Navy and Crimson Rangers.
A threat from the get-go. They really did a good job of hyping up in the pre-trailers.
They were whooping the Power Rangers
And I mean, the
ass.
shoulder
Oh,
pads,
man.
the knees. If I could have that as a
It was
performance
sick.
outfit in green.
Their outfits were great as well as their weapons. I love their weapons, how they could transform.
Sorry, sidebar. I do have their Megazord right here. I put them on the villain side because they did
Nice.
start off as evil, just for that reference. Go ahead.
And I loved their design. I loved the Green Ranger in that series when he flipped his helmet, man. And you know it was on and popping. He was ready.
Did you know with Ninja Storm, when Saban, before they sold the rights to Disney, their concept for Ninja Storm was to actually build off of Forever Red in some ways and actually bring back returning actors. They were going to bring back Tommy and make him the Green Ranger. It was called Power Rangers Hexagon, and they were going to utilize basically it was almost going to be Power Rangers Civil War the season, where the Ninja Storm Rangers were going to work under Tommy, and they would fight the Thunder Rangers, and it would kind of be there was a force called the Hexagon, kind of like the Pentagon, where it was like a centralized way of using the Power Rangers, basically regulation, a superhero registration act in a lot of ways. And Tommy was going to send the Ninja Rangers out to various things. They would soon discover the Thunder Rangers, who were actually going to get a yellow Thunder Ranger in their own, so that way they'd have a split.
Oh, that's sick.
And that enemy faction, basically the Anti-Registration Act, was going to be led by Jason. And they were going to go at it, and it was good. It would have involved a huge production budget thing, but then Disney bought the franchise, so obviously that never happened. But Ninja Storm had a totally different concept.
Wow.
And Tommy would have been the Green Ranger with his gold armor and everything. And eventually all the Rangers would have teamed up to take down Tommy because he would have gone too mad with power.
Okay.
That was your original Ninja Storm. I didn't get the chance to talk about that throughout the rest of the week.
That's actually sick. I need to see that now.
But what we got was still really, really good. That was the
Yes.
first full season that I had seen of the show, like from beginning to end. And I got to watch it when I was older just last year, and I was really blown away at, wow, this actually really holds up. I actually really was watching good Power Rangers. Screw you people who said I was watching children's entertainment. Sorry, carry
No,
on.
you're good.
Isn't
you're
that
good. I love it.
Isn't that hexagon concept a reference to rivalry between the actors?
Yes. There's also something with that too. Jason David Frank and Austin St. John, yes, have had an on and off rivalry on the show. I mean, do you blame him? Jason was supposed to be the franchise, and then Tommy came in, and he's the most popular character. We'll talk more about that when we talk favorite characters. Sorry, continue on with your number 2.
Number two is going to go. I forgot. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's our show. Good night.
I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this, but honestly,
Ruffle
I
away.
do not care. It was the last season of Power Rangers I ever watched in its entirety, and Jungle Fury. So
It's a good pick. It's a
So-
strong pick.
now, reason being, once again, I love the designs. One that stood
they're
out the
great
most,
looks.
the Purple Ranger, Wolf, whatever you want to call him. He was amazing. I loved the nods.
Bandages for the gauntlets.
I love the
it's a
nods
great
that
look.
they made to his style. He fought using Muay Thai, and the fact that he had the Muay Thai ropes on. He had metal on his elbows and on his knees. Like, those were great details to add. And I just loved, in general, throughout their fight choreography, they always stuck to very animalistic type movement, even when they were morphed. So I just really loved that. They thematically, I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the Rhino Ranger. He was
His morpher
sick.
is a giant hand. Like, it's a giant hand blade, and that's what he uses to morph. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Let me take out this giant subtle thing to morph with.
It was amazing, and so I really loved that season, even if it's panned by other people.
Well, it was also refreshing because it came out after Operation Overdrive, which
Yep.
at the time was the worst season, and there were reasons for it at the time, but it was just a nice, refreshing restart of, like, we're going more back to basics and staying focused. It's a strong season. I definitely recommend it. There's a lot to like about it.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. And now for number one.
Wait.
Oh wait. Oh, he's bringing it up.
Why isn't it scrolling?
Oh
I just
Jesus!
thought this was
The face. The face. What is that?
Help, I'm trapped.
Kill me.
They
I'm
put
trapped in a museum.
It looks like they put a putty into a Power Ranger costume.
Sorry, Trevor. Continue.
Sorry.
And you're number one, Sir
And
Millington.
number one, Lost Galaxy.
Really?
Yes.
Talk to me, brother. Why?
Lost Galaxy. I feel like that was the first time where there was like real peril.
Okay.
Like that was the first time my young mind was like, oh shit, people died. Wow.
Well, there's certainly a lot to take away. They went
And-
into the Lost Galaxy, and,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen. in
And
there.
so I really loved that. I loved the arc with the Zords. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in a really long time. The arc with the Zords.
There were Zords that were
evil
being mind
Zords,
controlled.
and,
Yeah, they were evil.
and they were just terrorizing them. I love that. I love that eventually they were able to tame the Zords, which I thought was really cool. That was a really cool nod because, like you said before, they really hadn't had to earn their powers, have to earn their Zords or
Right.
anything. And so that was really cool for me to see them having to earn their power instead of just be given something.
And the Magna Defender is just
And that
a
is
badass.
that, and he is the icing on the cake for me. The Magna Defender, the design on that, the cape,
great
the
costume.
big horns, the sword. Like, I was dying for his toy at Christmas. I had dreams leading up to the day of Christmas.
I think Barney's about
Getting
to
Magna Defender.
bring up our boy.
Please do, cause he. Yes. Look at him.
That's the
Look at
Hasbro
him.
action figure, so you can get that.
And just I loved his design in this. I think he fit really well as anti-hero for them.
Yep.
I loved the shotgun that he had, his little sawed off that he'd whip out.
Yeah.
Like I loved him. So I will say Lost Galaxy, definitely my favorite.
I would say with Lost Galaxy, if there wasn't an imminent cancellation of Power Rangers, imagine what they could have done even more, rather than just having like 4 months to prep everything, because they were incredibly rushed beforehand. Had too much water. To instead have like a kind of a full year of pre-production to get the show going. I can only imagine what they could have done from that. But there's definitely a lot of highlights for it. Certainly Trakina, I think, is a stronger villain in the Power Rangers arsenal. I mean, she loses her dad. She takes it out on her enemies, the Rangers, and then she eventually like gets a really strong, powerful form. Like, she gets scary near the end, right before she turns green. Like, she gets like cyborg-esque when she fuses with Deviant. Thank you. Yeah, so there's a lot to like about it. High production values,
and
for sure.
That's another thing that stood out, especially for the earlier seasons. I feel like it was really well done. It looked good. It was
The
good to
whole
watch.
post-Zordon era,
Yeah.
really, that was the highest production value they had, and they shot in downtown LA, and
Mm-hmm.
they made a lot. They made a lot of things work with that, all things considered. And yeah, definitely an interesting take for
That is,
sure.
yeah,
but
that is
why we
that
have
is my number one. I love that season. and you can't convince me otherwise.
Well, I'll have to show you some of the Lost Galaxy stuff we have set up in the closet. I'll do that before you go.
Jesus.
So we'll shift gears a little bit, and we'll have a group discussion here. I don't necessarily have anything planned like I usually do, but because I just knew that would be able to fuel it. So, favorite characters. Mine is clearly Tommy Oliver, if you can't tell.
Thinking emoji.
But I mean, you know, why wouldn't I? I mean, he has the most Ranger powers. He's the most well-developed character out of all of them. He has arcs from when he's a young hero, arcs from when he's a leader, arcs from when he's a mentor. Certainly, he's been dived into in the comic books. There's just...
He's a musician.
Is he? What?
Hey, he plays the flute.
Oh. I hate you. Yeah, just he was brought back. He was brought back after, based on the Japanese footage, we mentioned this the other day, that he lost his powers in the show. That was because the Japanese character actually died in the show, but due to fan response, he came back and basically has been the face of the franchise ever since. And I just love my Green Ranger, but I especially love my Tommy because they've done a lot to honor his impact on the show and how really there kind of is no franchise ultimately without him, and I know he's aware of that, but at the same time, the actor Jason David Frank is really good at cons and giving back to the fans and being there, signing autographs, being there as often as possible. He actually was just down in Tyler, Texas, where he did, he's been kind of doing a small tour to various comic book shops to help keep them afloat, so he would do signings, invite people in, they would have like digital ticket lines and stuff, and yeah, he's just very good about giving back to the community, and I give a lot of credit to the actor and the character for that. I've been saying that a lot today. I give a lot of credit to blah, blah, blah. I'm repeating myself. So anyway, that's...
Everyone gets the credit. You get the credit. You get the credit. Everyone gets some credit.
And yeah, so that's my favorite overall character, and I can definitely pick off other ones, but I'm Tommy all the live long day. Give me any Tommy-centric episode, I'll take it. Do you have a favorite character in the overall franchise that sticks out to you? Can be a villain,
so as
ally, whoever.
Overall, Tommy's the GOAT. Like you just as a Ranger, I will just rank him number one as a Ranger. But for my personal favorite, this is hard because you had asked me earlier, and I will tell you my favorite color is blue, and therefore for every single season, I was the Blue Ranger. Ninja Storm messed me up, but now that I look back, I think it's really cool that they were breaking.
Ninja Storm was a girl, Barney.
So I really respect them for breaking gender norms and being like, you don't have to
You can wear the blue Ninja Storm outfit though, based on the Super Mega Force stuff, where they inverted some of the colors and genders. So you could get away with it if you wanted to.
See, I need to watch Super Mega Force.
No, you need to watch Gokaiger. Super Mega Force is trash.
Oh yes. Okay, I will do that. Yeah. I'll have to do that.
Definitely.
You've been telling me
I'm
about
gonna hook
that.
you up. I'm gonna hook you up. I can send you a flashlight.
Where was I going?
So you were talking blue.
Yes,
your favorite
blue.
blues.
Blue is my favorite, just throughout the iterations. But I will say my favorite of the Blue Rangers will have to be my boy, Blake Bradley, a.k.a. the Navy Thunder Ranger.
I can respect that. Yeah, he counts.
Power Rangers Ninja Storm.
He counts.
I just love the design so much. I loved when they were introduced. We never really saw brothers come in and just start whooping ass like that. So I really love that. That's just one of my favorite seasons, as we already talked about. So yeah, so that's my favorite Ranger. But like I said, Tommy's the GOAT. You can't beat Tommy. You just can't.
No, definitely. For
so
sure, man.
I'd mentioned this before we started streaming, but I was like, it seems so weird to have you guys on a show together without any dancing. So it's kind of unrelated in that it's a poker rap dance and not anything Power Rangers.
Oh,
but I have to bring this up because you guys killed it on this. I just want to play that in the background.
Definitely do it up. Thank you.
I haven't seen this in so long. This was sick.
This is you guys just killing it with a poker rap dance there.
And
it seems like, so when was this? This is a long time ago, huh?
This would have been 2017. I would have just come back from the Broadway Theater Project in Tampa.
And this was really like Merrick and I were just starting to get into a whole lot of production together, and this was one of the first things we did, and I'm really proud with how it came out, honestly. You can find this on YouTube on Merrick Henry's.
We have 5 PokeRap episodes available now, featuring various characters from the Pokemon franchise. I'm Ash, and Trevor here was Brock.
Look at these guys go! Killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, that was sick.
There's Baby Merrick, dude.
Baby
Merrick
Merrick and Baby Studio, quite frankly, because
Yeah.
we've remixed so many things around since then.
Yeah, everything's been moved.
That was back when I started not embracing
Yeah,
facial
it's good
hair, but
stuff.
giving up on facial hair, just letting it be.
You guys
Just let it
dancing
grow up.
together is a treat, though. There's something magical there.
Thank
That
you.
was awesome. That was so much fun to do.
Yeah,
Let's do it again.
you bet.
Right here.
I think
Move the
I
table.
think
Let's go.
Flip.
Just flip the table. Put on the Power Rangers theme song. We're doing it live.
We found a lot of boss remixes the other
yeah.
day, so yeah, we could do something.
Can you imagine you just flip the table, morph quick into
What's
Blue Ranger, Green Ranger, and then yeah, that would be.
Oh man. Well, before we shift and start playing games, there is one more thing I wanted to just briefly talk about with you: the comic books. So, for those that are paying attention to the table, if you know, I do have the current Free Comic Book Day prequel pre-issue of Power Rangers Ranger Slayer, and she does in fact have her own comic book line that just came out this past week that follows her adventures. It's an alternate Kimberly Hart Ranger where she was evil and is now on the road to redemption, essentially. And then I also have down here for comic book stuff Psycho Green, who's a comic book exclusive, and then the Ranger Slayer action figure. So I've represented all of my topics today, essentially. You just kind of got started with the comic books.
Yes.
What are your thoughts thus far based on what you're reading? Potential spoilers, yada yada yada.
Yeah. First of all, the comic book line I feel like was a great way to revitalize the franchise
Tremendously, yeah.
in general. I will say seeing it in comic book version, and I was talking to some of my friends a little bit earlier, I would love to see an animated version of the comic books. I think the art style is very robust. I love the storytelling. I really love that they're differentiating from the original series and making it much more serious. There are actual stakes.
Definitely.
And there's character building, which there was some of that within the show, but
Not nearly as much as this. It's not even close.
Yeah, no, there's
Not
no,
even close.
it can't hold a candle to what the comic book is doing, and Lord Draken is sick.
Lord
Draken is sick.
Draken. For those that don't know about Lord Draken is Tommy Oliver if he stayed evil. So on an alternate Earth set within the comic book overall universe, we know in the main line that Tommy was defeated by the Power Rangers, the spell was broken on him, he became good. In this universe, the same thing happened. He was beaten by the Rangers after being under Rita's spell, but he decided to stay evil even without the spell. So he plans on taking over Earth with Rita, and then he eventually gets so powerful that he takes a fusion of the White Ranger and Green Ranger powers and just becomes very OP as a result.
Sitting here with the collection of heads
Yes.
and helmets at his
Lord
his feet.
Draken is probably the best overall villain that the franchise has produced, and he came from the comic. They shot a trailer using the actor Jason David Frank to promote the crossover Shattered Grid plotline. So they got the writer of the Shattered Grid arc in the comics to direct the trailer. They got Jason David Frank, Tommy, to come in and film in the footage, and they used CGI, and basically they made a real-life trailer, and people were clamoring for a Netflix anything on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do, as I keep thinking, I think they're going to jump to Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if they jump with that. I would be open to an animated Power Rangers set of stories so long as the main live action aspect doesn't get dropped, because I think one of the most appealing things about the show, and I mentioned this when I first fell in love with the franchise, was getting to see monsters in costume and actual real fighters. It's not like an animated Superman or Batman or these kind of great animated stories, which are fantastic in their own right, but there's something to be said about seeing these things live action and with practical effects. It's not like, you know, a majority of CGI things that you see in the films, but you're seeing real practical stuff, things that you can actually touch on camera. I think that's important too, based on the Japanese footage and the costumes that get carried over. I think that's a really important thing. So as long as that doesn't die out, I'm perfectly happy with animated stories, especially if they're set to the comics.
Yeah. I can agree to that. I just, me personally, especially with the way the comics are, it can get a little bit graphic. I would enjoy seeing it animated because they don't have to cut back on any of that stuff,
Right.
you know?
Especially
And so
what's on Netflix.
They can push to a mature audience. We don't have to worry about, oh, a kid sees that Power Rangers is on the TV and they turn it on and someone's getting their head chopped off.
Well,
So
I mean, Hasbro has Transformers, and they just released the new Transformers series on Netflix. So, and that's not necessarily completely just kid devoted as previous incarnations of that franchise. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hasbro just.
you just
Does the same
reminded
thing.
me.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. What is a crossover that you would like to see for Power
For
Rangers?
Power Rangers specifically.
With like
dream
a different,
crossover.
like with a different franchise and IP.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, here are the ones that have already been established. We do have a Power Rangers Justice League comic book already, and it's incredible, and I highly recommend it. So that exists.
And we want a sequel to that.
Yes, we do. We have had the Power Rangers team up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, both in series and in the comics, where Shredder becomes a super powerful Green Ranger. Highly recommend. I'd love to see them team up with the Avengers next. I really do. I think Boom Studios could maybe pull something with Marvel and Disney where they could make that happen. I don't see why they couldn't do Transformers with Megazords. I think
That
it
would be
just
mine.
that I think
That
it
would be
just
mine.
makes a lot of
Transformers.
sense.
It
Sorry,
would
I'm
ma-
just
it-
rambling off.
No,
things,
that
but
and
Ooh,
it makes sense as well, just because I mean Hasbro already has. The rights
Exactly.
to both
Doesn't it make
series.
sense? They have
they
complete
can
control.
very easily cross over, and they have a reason. Like you said, the Transformers are these big robots that are ready for battle at all times. The Power Rangers have a huge Zord. Like it's the perfect culmination.
doesn't
Yeah.
it make sense?
And I think it'd be really cool to see them like fighting the Decepticons. Like they have some plot to blow up the world, whatever they're going to do. You know them. You know Megatron.
Definitely.
And they end up going into like this huge battle and end up fighting like Megatron or whatever.
Well,
Like,
I
I
s-
think that'd be sick.
Well, in the comics, they clearly Boom Studios has made it clear that they're willing to play ball with anybody, even DC and Warner Brothers. So I would not be surprised if somewhere down the line we get more franchise crossovers in the comics, and as long as it's good storytelling, I'm here for it. What do you got, Barney?
We got a couple in the chat. Lego Power Rangers.
Okay.
Hello.
When Lego Dimensions
I
was still a
respect that.
thing, I tweeted at them to say for their third year they need to have a Power Rangers team pack with Jason and
would be
Tommy,
so dope.
or option B, they could release like a level pack. Give me one figure, and the level pack is Tommy fighting Jason, and that's the
Yup,
level.
yup.
Wouldn't that have been dope from the Mighty Morphin show?
Yup.
I would have totally been here for that.
Mr. Valentin says Power Rangers and G.I. Joe.
Oh, that's.
Oh,
sick.
that would be so fun.
that
Taking on
would-
Cobra Commander?
That would be
that,
sick.
that fits.
Rita Repulsa and Cobra Commander in their
If I could-
high-pitched
if I
voice.
could get
How
a-
dare you attack me? How dare you attack me? Just the same exact
Specific
voice.
season. If you have GI Joe like team up with SPD, that'd be sick.
That would be so dope.
Thematically, I think that would be a really sick crossover.
That would be great.
I want Kaiser in One Piece.
Oh,
Go Kaiser, yes.
One Piece.
The actual One Piece Go Kaiser crossover that we.
Or just Luffy. Maybe Luffy gets accidentally teleported in there or something and has to work with the Power Rangers.
And is just totally open to it. Let's do it.
Of course. I mean, he would be. Gomu Gomu Power Ranger!
Can you imagine like
Gomu
a
Gomu
Ranger
Zord.
suit just stretching all the way across the battlefield? That'd be sick.
I picture him like wrapping himself around. They form a Megazord, and then Luffy wraps himself around and catapults the Megazord towards the battle or something, or just like makes himself a weapon that the Zord can hold. That would be funny too. A whip.
That would be.
Gomu Gomu whip.
But yeah, I can't recommend the comics enough. You hit the nail on the coffin. They really have helped revitalize the franchise in a lot of ways. Like really good numbers for sales. This isn't a niche thing at all. Like it's only been getting bigger, and they've been releasing more individual stories and plot lines within the overall franchise, like stories devoted to just Ranger Slayer. They're not rebooting, but they're kind of retooling the Mighty Morphin Comics franchise, and they're kind of splitting it into two, where you have a mainline Power Rangers team with Tommy and the Season 2 characters, which also includes a new Green Ranger, which we still don't know the identity to, so there will be a White and a Green Ranger on the same team, and then another set of Rangers, which are the Omega Rangers, which I won't go into spoilers for your sake, but they heavily relate to the Mighty Morphin team, so they have so that basically the main story is going to split in two, and they're going to be going
Nice.
with that moving forward. So the comic books are not stopping,
Yeah,
which is great.
they're amazing, and I'm glad that they're doing this. I'm just gonna highlight the Ranger Slayer. She is a badass.
Definitely.
If you don't know who she is, look her up.
I missed that in the chat earlier. Mr. Valentine, Draken and Ranger Killer, dope AF.
Yes.
Yes.
They
the
actually have
Ranger
a
Slayer
really
is sick.
cool comic devoted to Tommy long after he's retired as a ranger, where like he's basically fighting to save his son from a villain that's been featured before in the franchise. I will say that. But that's also a really good read. He actually does morph into all of his previous incarnations, so it's basically like Old Man Logan, but it's Old Man Tommy in a lot of ways. So I definitely... All of the comics, they're really good. So if you're thinking that the kids franchise for the show is a little too immature, the comic books make up for it. Trust us.
There you go.
Seal of approval.
Clip it.
Clip it. Well, this is. I think we need to close out our big Power
Play some
Ranger week.
games.
Play some games.
I'm down.
I wanna
Trevor's been waiting
I've
very patiently.
never played this game, so I'm excited. I am
Great.
a huge fan of fighting games, though, so I definitely know about it, and I've seen all the characters that have been released. I love that they've been adding characters from all the seasons as well as characters from the comics. Like it's been great.
But PS4 turned off. I'll have to boot it up.
I also want to show off my little morpher.
Please, yes, Barney, do it up.
Wait. Well, there it is. And
Dope.
That's
my head's
awesome.
too big for the helmet, but still pretty.
We can't use
pretty
green because of green
cool.
screen, but it's the thought
I
that
also
counts.
there is a Green Ranger version, but I couldn't use it because it just makes the it just goes invisible. But yeah, look at this.
I mean, that is on the money for Tommy and Dino Thunder. Just go invisible.
Oh yeah, so you wanted to mention this?
we were talking
Yeah.
about
So
that. Yeah.
with Tommy Oliver. So in the Power
You play
Rangers.
Fall Guys? Oh, we gotta play together. If any of my boys are in the chat watching, we're gonna
you also
play
will
Fall
appreciate
Guys.
that I finally-
with Mary.
I've already actually
Cave
played
got
it
that
once.
too.
We are going to play Fall Guys next Friday, actually.
Next Friday,
So,
yes.
Yeah, if you want to join in
Oh,
with that.
We are,
Get in
we,
the
we are
Discord.
playing Fall Guys, and we're also going to be building a Lego Avengers helicarrier because I spent good money to get
Let's
that.
go. And I see you have the beta downloaded.
Of
so-
course.
Oh man.
We
Oh,
will
have
actually.
you played it?
Oh yeah.
He's
yeah.
the one who.
I
pushed me to get
text
it.
Merrick and I was like, I know you love Avengers, so I
So
gotta tell you
good.
about this.
I'll actually mention also. So we actually pre-ordered Marvel's Avengers. We will be doing. We got early access to the game coming out next week. We will be doing a early stream of the game since we have the access to it. So
Nice.
best believe we're going to be playing it. I'm not exactly sure the specific time yet because I'm not exactly sure how that works because I've never done it. But as soon as we are able to get it, we will be streaming it, and it will be before the day of the official.
It'll be probably a midnight stream.
Yeah,
our
definitely.
time.
And we may
I
love
will
it
be
so
the winner.
much. We may love it so much that we actually decide to do that instead of play Fall Guys, quite frankly. So we're keeping our options open. So feel free to activate your controller.
It's morphin' time.
It's morphin' time. You can be Barney the Tetris.
Let's go.
All right. So let's do some
Oh,
verses.
and I was just talking about the Pink Ranger. Oh boy.
And Barney, we'll definitely be getting you involved into this too.
Let's see who's in here. Okay, Eric
I'm
Myers.
done losing to you.
Voiced
with this
by
game.
Eric, actually.
Really?
Yes.
What?
And I believe Jason and Tommy are both voiced by their respective actors as well. So and Draken, of course, too.
Look at him. Just look. That is a beautiful character design.
And also with the DLC as well, you get his second
Oh
form
wow!
too.
Wow!
Kimberly's, you also get her pink. Tommy, you also get his version 2, which was used in a YouTube fighting video, as well as his white.
Wow!
Jason gets Dragon Shield. So you have all these options to play with, essentially. Go nuts.
I need to get
Oh,
this
and
game.
Daishi also has Phantom Beast King.
Oh, that's sick. I like that they did that for him.
Go nuts.
What?
Oh, I gotta pick
The
somebody too.
gold. The gold.
Yeah,
With
their
the red visor.
Their alternate
Oh,
costumes are
wow.
really dope. I
Okay.
mean, look at Jason's for a sec. And then, Eric's alternate is like just
Oh, I like
a
that.
sexy inverted, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Wow. These are really cool. This is really cool. And I like that they don't just have like all the original Rangers from like the seasons. They really mix it up. They put in some villains.
They're trying. They've been putting in more over time. I definitely think they can do
like Dragon
more.
Armor Trini. That's
they're definitely respecting the comics for sure.
Oh, well, I need to see his. Ooh, I like that. But blue's my favorite color, so I can't say that though.
I think they can.
I got Boo out.
I think they can keep doing better with more characters, and I hope they keep releasing more. There's gonna be Lauren Shiba on the way, female Red Ranger from Samurai, and they're also releasing Scorpina. It's all but confirmed that it's Scorpina, but we can all tell that it's Scorpina. Oh, you can also pick a Megazord to fight with too.
Oh, come on. They are just...
It's part of a super attack.
Jordan, if you're listening, I'm gonna get this game. It's finalized. I will get the game. Oh, what? That is... Let's see. I'm a... SPD, Dragon Zord, Mega Goldar. No. I will be honest, not a fan of Goldar's original design.
You don't like the flying monkey?
No, I don't. I do not. Especially for like who he was supposed to be. I feel like he was he was just turned into a farce later on.
He was.
And so I enjoyed the movies iteration where Goldar was just this giant molten gold monster.
It was a very interesting take, definitely. So we can go to Harwood County from Super Mega Force. This is the training room. Xenozoic Era from the movie. Command Center. Corinth from RPM. The Delta Base, which I think that's probably where you want to go. Mystic Force. Lord Draken's Throne. And whatever this tower is.
We can go anywhere.
To the Delta Base.
These all look sick. What do the buttons do?
What does this button do?
What does this button do? I know from what I saw, because like I said, I love fighting games, and so I follow the fighting game community as much as I can. There's a lot of fighting games out, guys, so I can't do it all.
Too.
But oh wow. Oh, look at the stance. Like, see, that's what I was talking about. That's why Jungle Fury
It's basically Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in a lot of ways. You have your basic attacks,
Your daddy does here.
heavier attacks, and you also use your X to basically be a special attack. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Your L1 and your R1 switches between your allies.
What is? Oh, what? Oh, I can flip. Oh, y'all done fucked up.
There's all kinds of stuff you can do, basically.
I can flip, boy. Oh nah.
You ready?
We in here.
We in here? Let's go.
Ooh, switch sides on me. Okay, that's cool. Ooh.
And then you hold down L1 and R1 to permanently pick your ally. So it's 3 versus 3 basically. Ooh, got him.
Oh, hello. That did something. How do I switch again?
Hold down L1 or R1. Or I think double tap, I think.
Oh, hold on. It might be double tap. Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's a double tap, sorry.
Crossover has a question for you.
Okay,
Yeah?
okay.
You've
Oh, I'm about to eat
You've
this to the face.
praised-
Oh, no, the putty missed.
You've praised Power Rangers all week, but I'm curious, what is considered the worst thing related to Power Rangers?
That's a low.
That's a
What? He has a
great
low
question.
light starter? Come on, son. That is broken.
Any takers?
It's
It's a tough question.
a tough question
When
at a tough
you-
time.
You love the franchise, so
Oh, boy.
Hidoken. So there was a time. All right, you know something that is really bad from the overall franchise? For the Sega CD, they did a game where basically they were just taking clips from the show, and it's like a button, like a timed
quick
kind of
time
thing.
event.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, what?
Pyramidas, but you. Oh no, I still got it off. Kind of, but it still didn't do anything. Oh, and oh man.
Oh, what? I thought I got that. I thought that was gonna be clean.
There it is. So your L1 and your R1, now that your Ultra is charged up, your Ultra is basically that Megazord.
Oh.
And I have Mega Goldar.
Oh Lord.
I think you won.
Back
You
it
won.
up, Terry. Okay.
Because my tray got beaten down.
Someone defeated the master. It finally happened.
Gotta take off this time limit. 1 sec.
Oh yes.
Sorry, didn't realize. I forgot there was a time limit.
Oh yeah, Crossover was saying a lot of Sega CD games did that just to show off how advanced it was with like the real video footage.
Yeah, so
that's something we needed in games apparently. Not really.
So while it's not necessarily like a hindrance on the franchise necessarily, like that was like not good.
It was not a high point.
What I do think is realistically a low point that didn't need to be is Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, where rather than the Mighty Morphin movie of 1995, which wasn't in continuity with the show, they just wanted a high production Power Rangers adventure, Turbo was in continuity, and they used that as episode 0 for their Power Rangers Turbo season. And basically, it was a weird production thing, but a lot of it feels weak. It hasn't quite aged as well. The only reason why we watch Turbo is because you watch that before you want to start Turbo, basically to have an idea of why they went from having really strong powers based on this crystal where they can get super strength and lasers and all these things and then switch to cars. It's never explained why they go from super powered energy source to cars, but they did it. And you want to know why? It starts from this movie. So, on with the battle.
All right, now I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna give a little shout out to my boy Eric.
Do it up.
Do I want? Ooh, I like that purple, but I mean, I'm gonna still rock with.
I like my red aesthetic here.
Ooh,
I didn't intentionally try to do that.
See, now he's bullying. See, I'm set tripping. Damn. Oh boy, man, I'm messing up. All right. See, he got a whole aesthetic. I'm picking whoever.
It wasn't intentional. It just happened.
He got that thing on him. I'm gonna pick him.
Let's go to Corinth.
Eric got that thing on him too. I didn't realize. I forgot he always got. He got the strap.
I like his inverted suit a lot. I think it's really
yeah.
sleek.
That is a very sleek costume. I love that.
I actually wonder if that might have been a better an actual better Six Ranger outfit for that specific season of Time Force.
Especially with the way that it started. I think if they would have started with that costume and then when he turned good, maybe go to his original costume.
Yeah.
Sarah says, "Good stream today, guys."
Sarah! Hi, Sarah.
What's poppin', Sarah? Oh.
Sarah is the third member of our team, if you do not know, Trevor.
Our High Priestess.
The High Priestess, Sarah.
Oh, I didn't know what I just did.
I don't know if I can turn off. I may have to. Sorry,
Go,
I meant
like,
to
to
turn
the
off the
menu?
time limit. Yeah, sorry. Forgot
fine.
about it. I was distracted by my aesthetic.
I'm having way
Okay.
too much fun with these Snapchat filters.
It's good to keep yourself entertained. I'm assuming you want in on this too at some point.
I'm the carrot commentator. No, I'm good.
Oh.
You beat me enough times the other day.
I meant you could play Trevor.
Crossover says I'm giving the children nightmares.
How do I shoot the gat?
Why would you be scared of a carrot? I'm just a carrot. I'm good for you.
I will also mention there was a point in time when Power Rangers was trying to equal out its gender toys, where they actually released girl doll toys for Aisha and Kimberly, and gave them like changeable accessories and like sets and.
Word.
So like I can appreciate the diversity in it. They're just not good toys.
In your opinion.
Please, Jesus.
Whew, damn. Frozen in time.
What is that?
You froze my Jason in time as he was coming in to help me. Dope. I didn't actually realize I switched. Yeah, that's Jason, for sure.
Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm dead.
There actually is a story mode in this game, Trevor, if you did not know.
Really?
That's based on the Shattered Grid storyline, where you take on Evil Tommy. Ouch.
Just so you guys know, I was going to make my ultimate comeback, I swear.
So let's see if we can adjust this time. I don't know if I can.
I might, maybe in settings, in your settings.
Let's take it back now, y'all. I don't have many settings.
At the bottom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't read.
Or not.
Nope.
All right.
Have you guys ever heard of History of Power Rangers by the YouTuber Linkara?
Yes, Wayne and I love what Linkar has done. I've actually gotten a lot of my info from watching him and his deep dive. I mean, basically everything that he knows is the general public knowledge. It's not like he necessarily has any insiders, but he's done a really good job of writing together opinionated takes on the history of each season, and he kind of goes through everything at the end. And he definitely is in agreement with me and Wayne as far as Power Rangers Super Mega Force being atrociously bad for reasons that could have been easily ignored.
Yeah.
You know, I love his work. I highly recommend it. Absolutely. He's also, he's done other things as well, kind of since then. Like he was re-uploading Power Rangers, his history seasons kind of often because YouTube keeps changing their rules and regulations as far as like what clips you can use for things. So he's kind of taken a step away from those re-uploads, but they are available as other people's uploads and such online. So you can definitely find him. So I definitely recommend him.
There you go.
For show.
Look up Linkara on YouTube.
I gotta go back to him.
Do it up.
You know, let's see.
I don't like Tommy's other outfit in this case. It's like all white, it feels like. Ooh, but I really like that alternate for the Black Dragon armor.
My team name.
What? That's her alternate? Oh, I never knew that.
Oh, that's sick. My team name is going to be Revenge of the 6th.
Check, please.
Yep, that's the name of a team.
Oy vey. Let's just go random.
I love it. I love it. Just admit it, you love it.
In my gut where it hurts.
I haven't really mentioned it just because we've had so much going on. If you've been liking and enjoying what we've been doing today and basically all the rest of this week, we've noticed that some have done so already and we greatly appreciate it. Make sure that you like and follow and subscribe to all of our various platforms. We are the Dirty Table Knights here at Knights of the Dirty Table, as I get my ass beaten.
We've had a couple of people watching on Facebook today.
Oh, dope. Dope.
Mostly Twitch, but yeah, whatever your platform of choice is, you can follow us. You can like us, you can share us
Instagram,
on said
Facebook,
platform.
Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We are there. We did just put up a YouTube exclusive video where Wayne and I give our thoughts on DC Fandom this past weekend and all the various trailers that came out, reveals, and that of the like.
Yes, so if you're interested in any DC stuff, definitely check that out. There was a lot of stuff announced.
Yes. Which was very good considering, that we got something. Ooh, hello.
Seems like we've just been in a very good time for announcements for games and movies.
Oh, damn, I'm feeling this revenge.
Oh, hello. Lord have mercy. Oh, chip damage is real in this game. Hello.
When you're blocking?
Yep.
Is that what you mean?
I'm just getting waxed in the corner.
Wax on, wax off.
Oh, got my ass beaten to me.
Oh. Ooh.
Hit him with the Hadouken.
Oh, I thought it would switch sides in the air. That's sad.
Ooh.
Oh, I didn't have the range I wanted. I need to call in my Megazord.
I don't think two can be out at the same time, I don't think. But you can hit it afterwards, just L1 and R1.
Okay. Oh, there's a foot?
There's a clan for that.
Oh.
Time expired. Lame.
Do you want to get in on this, Barney?
No, I'm good.
Against Trevor? No, okay. Fair enough. What time is it now? Oh, man, we've almost done 2 hours today.
I'm going to hit the hyperbolic time chamber right now.
That already flew by. That surprised me. It really flew by.
Yeah.
Quick question. Will there be a stream tomorrow, or are you taking a break till next Friday? There will not be a stream.
But not because
tomorrow.
We don't want to. We just actually have a preoccupied gig. Barney, would you like to talk a little more about that tomorrow?
Yeah.
We'll do one more match.
I just need to have a look at the details of where that can be available. But we are actually streaming a live show.
Music
from
show,
the
a concert, if
studio
you will.
Tomorrow. Yes, concert with some hip hop, some soul, some acoustic performances, and bear with me, I will let you know where you can find that, or we'll post in the Discord. So if you're interested in checking that out, do join the Discord, and we will let you know where you'll be able to watch that. But it's going to be a great show. So yes, we will not be streaming tomorrow because of that.
And we will I'm pretty sure that means we won't be streaming Sunday either because of other pre-production meetings. Correct.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like we are taking a break until next Friday.
But it is not because out of necessarily exhaustion. It's because we just have other important gigs and commitments that we have here at the Zenden Studios, because we are not just a streaming studio, but we are also, a recording studio as well, and we are high in production for other various projects that are coming out of said studio.
So yeah,
so we're just busy, basically.
So not really taking a break, but taking a break from Nights just for a couple of days, and we'll be back in full force on Friday for some Fall Guys and Lego.
I was gonna say that looks like a pretty sick
If you do
team.
want to join in with our Fall Guys game, again, jump in the Discord, let us know. We'll be assembling a crew for that before
That will
Friday.
be next Friday, and we will be making an Avengers Lego Helicarrier as well.
Oh yeah.
Just because I really want to put that together.
Oh yeah. Crossover says we earned a time stop.
Oh
We demand a
my.
break.
What?
Dope, huh?
What?
But yeah, no, we just really appreciate you all sticking it out with us this past week. We've never attempted anything like this before. Just thank you for your support of everything that we do here at the Zen Den, as well as at the Dirty Table. Can't give enough credit to Mr. Trevor Norrington for coming out today and joining us and just being incredible.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
we love
Thank
having
you,
Thank
Trevor.
you, thank you.
Gotta
It
have
was
you on again.
So great to see you again.
Absolutely. Anytime. I love being here.
We gotta get him in. Oh, you know what we gotta get him in for? We gotta do another Michael Jackson The Experience for Xbox Connect. We
Yes.
gotta get him on board with
Oh, absolutely.
that. For show, for show.
If this man's not dancing the next time he's in here, then I'm not gonna be impressed.
We will light it on fire. Literally.
You
we're
shall
gonna burn the
dance
studio.
for us.
Dance for you? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you should dance for them for the.
Tell you what,
the dance for the chat.
Barney, if you wouldn't mind, after we do this match, if you wouldn't mind queuing up some of the badass Power Rangers dance mixes that we found, and we'll have a big DJ
Okay.
bash at the end, okay?
Sure.
This will be after the last match.
Sure thing.
Thank you, sir. Here we go. Last match for all the marbles.
That Magna Defender alternate is.
I'm telling you, they did a really good job with
they
these
did.
alternates.
I was gonna say
They could have
did
thrown
a
it
solid
away, but-
job with this. Wow.
Red just works.
You know, one season we didn't really talk about much. Rescue.
Very underrated season.
Yep.
Carter Grayson, their Red Ranger, I think is incredibly badass, and I think he's very strong. You got the first hit. Grr.
Oh, that's a thing.
I didn't know I did that either. Oh, I didn't know I did that either.
What? Oh, okay. Oh, he pulled that thing out. I saw that. Magnus said, "What's?" Oh!
Oof.
Point blank.
Magna Defender was about that action.
He's not a very nice boy. Oh, the drill that will pierce the sky. No, am I the only Garen Lagann fan here?
Yeah.
It's so good. You got to see it. It's only one season too.
What is that?
Move. Just a power up, beat me down move.
Ooh, the juggle.
Oof.
Oh? Oh, he has the sword? That's sick.
If I could do something with it. Nope, I did nothing with it.
What is that? What am I doing? What am I doing?
This is not going over well at all.
Oh, it has effects when I hit you.
Oh, crossover. You should watch Gurren Lagann. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite animes.
Is it gonna hit?
You disintegrated my ass!
Wait.
There was a strong component of luck there.
That was. Told you I was hitting the hyperbolic time chamber. Then I called that.
What was that? 2 and 2? I think that was the final total?
No. That well, yeah, the first one I got a timeout. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's 2 and 2.
2 and 2. Even Stevens.
Even.
Oh, you did a lot better than us, Trevor. We couldn't touch him.
It's not because I'm good. I just happened to bust Matt and Bush. Matt and Bush.
Matt and Bush.
That's easy for you to say.
Guys, it's Friday. It's been a long week.
Man, you know.
In more ways than one, for sure.
This was a fantastic way to end the week, though.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed our epic Power Rangers week. I've been wanting to put this together since I thought of it last August, basically the whole year. And I think we did a pretty bang-up job, all things considered. Thank you so much, Trevor. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Barney, for helping put this together.
Got it.
Again, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. Follow us on all of our available platforms. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. You can follow me on TikTok as well on all of our platforms at Herrick Menry. You can follow our adventures at the Zenden Studios on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow Trevor at, I forget what the username is.
At
Trev the Dancer.
At Trev the Dancer. So let's bang it out. Let's bang it out with a dance party to wrap up our week.
Congratulations, Power Rangers. Victory is yours. You have gone far beyond the call of duty and saved your world from a terrible fate. The world is very lucky to have you, and so am I.